Millennial Incantations.
Hi! I'm Siren.
And I'm David.
And we are 2/3 of Millennial Incantations.
And today we're going to talk about thought reprogramming. Ooh.
Yum. So, what even is thought reprogramming? Well, we've come up with a little definition for you. It is a set of techniques meant to change the way your mind operates, typically by replacing harmful negative thoughts with positive, helpful thoughts.
So, what's that got to do with me?
What's that got to do with being a witch? Well, there are so many things that are part of witchcraft that you can use it for. For example, you can use it to help yourself achieve your goals.
Or I suppose do something like, discipline your mind.
Or perhaps fight your own insecurities and build up your self-esteem.
Or dismantle bigotry.
Yeah, totally just take down racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and ableism, because that shit sucks. Okay.
So get it out of your brain, because it has no place anywhere in the world.
So get ready for us to take you through how to reprogram your thoughts out of all that bullshit.
Ooh!
This is gonna be one of those episodes where you moan a lot, isn't it?
Oh, shut up.
Okay, so the really cool thing about thought reprogramming is that really anybody can do it. It's a psychological process. It can be helpful for anyone, and I just recommend it to anyone. Totally. But if you are a witch, you can also make it part of your witchcraft practice, and that's why we're talking about it today.
So to get started and to be effective at reprogramming your thoughts, you must first become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because facing your inner horrible thoughts, the things that you can't control, your first instincts, all of that, it can be uncomfortable sometimes, especially when you're raised in a society that tells you to think a certain way that is completely counterintuitive to the wonderful, beautiful, accepting, loving person that you are. Okay?
Yeah.
So just give yourself a break. Get ready to feel kind of awful and push through it, all right? Just hunker down and do it.
Yeah. Be prepared to be uncomfortable, but it's okay. You're gonna get through it.
And we're gonna help.
Yeah, girl, we're so there for you. So the first thing that you need to learn to do is how to monitor your thoughts. A lot of people do this through the act of meditation, going to that quiet place inside and examining what your mind is doing. I pretty much suck at that because I drink a lot of coffee and I can't slow down. So I think it's also equally important that we learn to identify our problematic thoughts as we're going through our day. I mean, that's one of the most hard things about this, is to slow down and really think about what you're thinking about. But it also gives you the most power to decide how you're going to react, how you're going to behave, and hopefully choose a positive way to deal with things that you encounter.
So in order to monitor your thoughts, it is helpful to think of red flags that will give you cause to pause and think about what you just thought about.
Cause to pause. Shut up.
I know, right? So bear with me. Here we go. Are you ready? So a red flag would be something like snap judgment.
Or a stereotype about a certain group of people.
Or just an assumption that you hold so inherently that you don't even think about it.
Or something that automatically makes you super emotional, an emotional trigger that makes it harder to think logically.
Or literally a thought that you have and then immediately try to avoid having it.
Yeah, stuff you just don't want to think about at all. And finally, anything that's self-deprecating or self-sabotaging. Those are the red flags where you can really find your negative, harmful thoughts, the things that we need to work on changing. And they're also the thoughts that when we're having them, they're most likely to inspire us to behave badly. So it's really, really important that we learn to call them out and deal with them in the moment. But also super important that we learn to continue dealing with them past the time we discover them. Okay?
Correct. So just learn to identify their ugliness and then deal with it.
Yeah. Monitoring your thoughts once you get started is not a process that you're probably ever going to really be able to stop. And that may sound a little daunting or exhausting, but it really will help you become a better, happier, kinder person.
And it should be habitual, actually, to self-monitor, honestly. You should always question your assumptions, question where your thoughts are coming from, and learn to control them, really. Because, honestly, like, how are you going to go through life? Just all chaotic and ridiculous and not thinking about what you're doing? Like, who are you? A baby?
Well, I'm feeling a little called out right now, but thank you.
Baby.
So once we've identified a potentially problematic thought, we need to analyze it, go through a couple questions. Do I know enough about what I'm thinking? Do I need to do more research on this? Who is this thought harming or helping in my life or in the world? How did I arrive at this conclusion? And these kinds of questions are going to help you make the decision of what you need to do about this thought.
So the first path might be, you need to do more research. You're ignorant on the topic, you don't have all the facts, you don't know enough, so maybe you should kind of put a pin in it and then decide to have an opinion later. Once you have more information.
Informed opinion.
Which is a good opinion.
Yeah. The second path that you could take is to decide that the thought is okay, the thought is justified for now. Now, I don't think it's okay to decide that your thought is okay if you're ignorant about it and you've skipped the research part. Okay, that's a little ignorant and lazy. Sorry, not sorry to call you out like that. But if you've done your research and realized that maybe your thought is justified and it's not harming you or anyone else, then you can say it's okay, we'll leave that be for now. Just remember, it must always be open to any new information that you may receive.
Correct. No thought should ever be so rigid and structured that it cannot be questioned when confronted with new information in a new reality.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how we become ignorant.
Honestly. It's called science, y'all.
Which is real.
And the third pathway that we've come up with is reprogram that shit.
Yeah, that thought needs to change.
So let's change it.
Yeah, and we're going to tell you how. Okay. The first step of thought reprogramming has to do with reacting in the very moment when you've identified yourself having a negative or harmful thought. So what I do is force myself to think an opposing thought. We all have that voice in our minds, that sort of inner monologue, that if we want to, we can control. So even though, your CNN scroll of thoughts might be saying some bullshit, you can interject with a little edit in there and be like, no, that's wrong. I've decided to think this instead. And that is a great way to combat a horrible judgment in the moment and maybe stop yourself from making a fool out of yourself. All right.
Next, it might be helpful to be proactive about your thoughts. So using affirmation techniques. In the morning, I like to wake up and set my intentions for the day. So I think about what I'm going to do and I ground that firmly in my mind. Am I going to be productive? I hope I will try. I will think about being productive during the day. I will think about communicating effectively. I will think about enriching people's lives instead of sucking their energy. So I think about, all right, what am I gonna do? Set my intention. So that works for me. For other people, it might be something like writing something down. Repetition helps, increases retention. So write things down, put it in your brain, leave yourself little notes, talk to yourself, whatever you need to reaffirm these thoughts.
Yeah, affirmations are going to be more of your long-term plan, not your reaction to something in the moment. You've decided you want to change your thinking in this exact way, so you're going to write it down, you're going to repeat it, you're going to force yourself to think it all the time. And this can be a good way just to steer yourself towards something you want to achieve, or once you've recognized perhaps a little bit of bigotry in the way that you think and you decide you want to get rid of that, you can make a specific affirmation to help you stop being a racist bitch. I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Also, little side note, even if you think you're just incredibly enlightened, you're woke, whatever the kids are saying these days, recognize that you are still influenced by society, and society by and large is racist and bigoted and contains a lot of stereotypes, a lot of sexism, a lot of transphobia, a lot of just homophobia, just a lot of phobia and fear. And
just a lot of disgusting shit.
Horrible. And so those influences are acting upon you all the time. So nobody is immune to that. So even if you think you are, you still gotta question your shit.
But through the techniques that we're taking you through today, you have the power to change it. So I'm gonna go on to our third step in thought reprogramming, which is to generate strong emotion while you are trying to change your thoughts. The science of neuroplasticity says that your mind is more malleable, your brain is more malleable when it's going through heightened states of emotion. So one technique that a lot of people will use is to generate that heightened state of emotion through various techniques, and then when they're in there, force themselves through their affirmations to think the way that they want to, rather than the way that they're used to. So a lot of things that you can do to generate heightened emotion are things like dance, like intense breathing, just any kind of dramatic gesture that gives you some feelings. I really like dramatic gestures. I don't know if you've like noticed or whatever. Okay.
And this sort of behavior does a lot to break up the monotony of the situation, and it brings some showmanship, which again does a lot to pull focus to this very moment wherein you can stop your destructive thinking and change it for the better. You know?
Yeah. And finally, since a lot of us watching this are witches, you can actually use the heightened state of emotion that you generate when you're doing a spell or ritual to help with your thought programming. And this is really, you know, one great place where witchcraft and thought reprogramming come together and mesh beautifully.
Mesh. Okay. So now that we have these tools, let's talk about how we use them.
Let's put them into action.
Oh, so let's say you've caught yourself thinking something horrible about yourself. Can you imagine? Who would do that? None of us, right? Wrong. So, how do we deal with that?
As we were planning this video, I was watching an episode of Drag Race, and Katya brought something up on it that I thought was super helpful. Katya, the drag queen, said that she gave her inner sabotaging voice a name. She named her Brenda, and whenever Brenda is running her mouth, talking smack about her, she just says, "Shut up, Brenda. Silence that bitch down." And then she said she came up with another more positive voice named Carl, and she forces Carl to say nice things about herself. Now that's a little funny Drag Race reference, but I actually think it's really great advice to give your inner saboteur a name and tell the bitch to shut up. You know, we all have awful thoughts about ourselves, and you can't really stop that completely, but you can recognize when it's happening and shut it down.
Just like you would in real life. Speaking of real life, let's check in with Poundcake and see how he deals with self-sabotaging thoughts. Take it away, Poundcake.
Oh dear, I am a terrible puppy. It is so hideous.
Aw, poor puppy.
Wow, puppy, that was really negative. Maybe you could try thinking something more positive about yourself.
Go ahead, give it a try.
Okay, snap out of it, Poundcake. You are the great puppy, and you are so handsome. Oh, but why am I still so sad?
Well, that was a great start.
Good effort.
Can I get down now?
Just keep working at it.
Another great way to put thought reprogramming into practice is to fight your own inner bigotry, which, as David said before, we all have to acknowledge that we have, or we can't do anything about it. Society has programmed our thoughts in various ways to be racist, homophobic, sexist, transphobic, ableist, and so on. And that's not entirely our fault, but it is still up to us to fight back against it and change the way that we think about these things.
So even myself, as a strong, queer, non-binary witch, I still think in sexist terms sometimes. Typically, I think male as the, what is the word I want? Default gender, or default sex, which is kind of, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Dreadful.
So I have to catch myself thinking, am I going to say he as in person? What am I referring to? Am I assuming that this person, I don't know their gender, is a male just because they have this position or they do this? And is it obviously a woman? What's going on? I have no idea. I need to stop and go into a neutral place because that's what I would expect for someone to do for me. So I halt myself in the moment and I say, no, in fact, you will not do that. You stupid bitch. Stop it right now. You don't know anything. Also, don't be heteronormative. It's disgusting. Ugh.
And even though I am a queer as hell femme, non-binary witch, I am still white and I still have racist thoughts about people of color. So many white people are afraid to admit that out loud. But everybody knows that it's true. We are all racist. We were all raised in a racist society. And what's more important than being not racist is being anti-racist. And the only way to be anti-racist is to challenge your thoughts about race every day, every time you have them. Every single time. So I will catch myself making snap judgments about people of color, especially sometimes at work, where literally everyone around me is horrible, regardless of any other thing about them. They're horrible. I'm sorry. If you're a customer, you're horrible. Okay? Just accept it. And when I'm having racist thoughts in these moments, I stop and I say something like this to myself. Stop it. You don't know that about that person. You don't know anything about that person. You only think this because they are black. You are being racist right now, and you need to stop. A mantra like this is something I feel that every person should be equipped with when they're going out into the world and could interact with another person. Imagine if, I don't know, say police officers had the skills to look at someone and decide that their assumptions might be based on their race rather than anything that's actually going on. I don't know. Just a thought. Maybe several innocent people would still be alive. What do I know?
The point is, it all starts at home. Okay? This home, right here in your brain. Such a lovely home, isn't it?
Such a beautiful home.
Auntie.
Look at this cat.
Oh, gracious.
Look at him.
Speaking of home, let's check in with Selene and see how she's dealing with her homophobia.
Stupid queers.
Selene, that was quite rude. Why don't you try thinking something less rude?
Sorry. Gay, not bad. Gay, okay. But you still stupid.
That
Well-
kind of works.
Stupid, dummy, ugly.
That's gonna be a work in progress.
It is better.
You can also use thought reprogramming to help fight your own inner transphobia. A lot of us struggle when a trans person chooses to come out and tell us their name and pronouns, and we have to relearn their name and pronouns from what we used to think that they were. This can be hard, and even as a non-binary person, I have still struggled with it with my own trans wife. I get it. It's hard. But just because it's hard doesn't mean that's our free pass not to put in the work and do it. Validating trans people's identities literally saves their lives, helps them feel less dysphoria, and helps them not feel suicidal. And if all you have to do is put in a little brain power into that, then stop making excuses, honey, and just do it. Okay?
By not putting in the work, you are actively choosing to commit an act of violence against that person.
Absolutely.
So think that instead of, oh, I just don't feel like it. You're committing an act of violence.
Period.
Programming. There you go.
So, again, as we were researching this, I stumbled upon a fantastic meme on Facebook about it. It's a really great idea, so we're going to share it with you, okay? It said that when you mess up a trans person's name or pronouns to help reprogram the way you think about it, force yourself to think or say 5 sentences about them using their name and pronouns, and preferably as a compliment.
Yeah. That's a really sweet way to go about it. Instead of something like, your wife, Sephi, is mean.
Well, she is.
And she is forgetful and ignorant and hateful sometimes.
He's not putting that in there.
So, again, what does this have to do with witchcraft?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
How?
I personally believe, and I hope that a lot of you will too, that self-empowerment and social justice are primary ethics of witchcraft. Witches have always been outcasts. Witches have always been ostracized and picked on by society. We should identify with marginalized people, and as such, we need to stand up for them, even if it's just within our own minds. Using thought reprogramming to train your own mind to be less of a bigot is absolutely something that every witch should be doing, period. And also, isn't witchcraft always about our own self-empowerment? Aren't you supposed to love yourself and feel like you can take on the freaking world because you're a badass witch? So use thought reprogramming to make yourself into that badass witch. You have the power, baby, and you can do it. Okay.
So mastering yourself and mastering your thoughts is the first step to mastering the world around you and causing change. Get this, through the act of magic. So basically, thought reprogramming is an act of witchcraft. Whoa.
Hallelujah.
It literally is witchcraft because you are changing the thoughts in your brain, and those thoughts ripple out into the world, causing further change. Hello, witchcraft, literally happening. You're manifesting right now.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
As witches, if we believe that thoughts have power and words have power, then we need to be in control of those thoughts and words going on in our own heads. Period.
Because they have consequences, real consequences in the world, and you are responsible for your thoughts. So take responsibility, shape up, and get disciplined, y'all.
Whoosh! In summation, thought reprogramming is casting a spell. Step 1.
Get mad or sad.
Step 2.
Think about something you want to change.
Step 3.
Make the change.
Stuff happens!
Yeah!
Yay!
So truly, that is how easy it can be. Sure, the process is hard, but the results are real and wonderful. So like, go out there, be wonderful, make the world better, and let's stop being racist.
Yeah, stop being racist. It sucks. You have the power to make your own mind a better place. And from there, that goodness will radiate out and change the world, baby.
Ooh.
If you liked this video, you should totally follow us on Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We're all over it on the social media, baby. Okay.
Yeah, and also like subscribe here.
Yeah, like and
Please.
subscribe. It's super easy. We're super awesome. Just like and subscribe.
Yeah, and like, tell us if you have any ideas on thought reprogramming, if you have any specific affirmations, if you do any visualization, because it's not something I really do. I want to know about it. Maybe I can learn something.
Yeah, leave us a comment. Tell us how you're reprogramming your thoughts and what awful shit you are doing away with. All right, until next time, witches.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I am so beautiful. I am the perfect cat. I am absolutely gorgeous. Just look at me. I'm radiant.
Good job, Freya.
I know. So let me help you with this. Hi, I'm Siren, and I know all about thought reprogramming because I practically invented the process because I am so self-aware and I am consciously calling out other people on their bullshit all the time and telling them to question their assumptions and also take a film studies class for crying out loud. And oh my god, I cannot believe you like The Witch. What a ridiculous movie. It is so hurtful and harmful and it has all these crazy stereotypes even though you really like it and you're like really in love with Black Phillip and those creepy ass twins who are adorable, by the way. But anyway,
This is a really good impression.